Hello and welcome back to Inside the 20. Today, we will be going over the week 4 headlines. Kind of week 4 recap, trying a little bit different today, just experimenting with things. Hope y'all like this. Hope y'all, enjoy it. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So, for my first headline of the week, I got the Cowboys and the Packers. This was our Sunday night game. This was the 40-40 tie. Of course, for those who did not know, the Cowboys and the Packers ended up tying 40-40 at Jerry's World. But, if I'm being honest, the Packers were not good, okay? And I don't want to say it was a horrible game, but if you really go down to the facts and you look at what Micah Parsons was saying and all these things that were making headlines before the game, outside the fact, you would have been disappointed as well. And I know 80 points is a lot. Okay, second most points scored in a game that ended in a tie. But I have to give credit to Dak, okay? Because the Cowboys, they didn't have CD. Obviously, they lost Micah. But it also gives really big credit to Dak as well as George Pickens, who has been in and out this year, but he looked really, really good on Sunday. And that is one of the bright spots. And that's one of the things that the Cowboys now have to look at and be like, okay, that's the guy that we want to throw the ball to. Switching over to the Packers, Romeo Doubs looked great. Okay, give credit to him. The Guardian cap looks awful, but anything that works, bro. I also want to point out the ties. Ties are horrible. Nobody likes ties. That's so dumb, dude. If I'm a commissioner of a football league, the first thing I'm doing implementing the league, no ties. That's the first thing. First rule, dot, right there, no ties. I don't like it. I don't want it. It's dumb. Just to be like, oh, good game, neither of us won. That's dumb. That's stupid. But overall, games should keep going. That's my takeaway. Games should keep going. Great credit to Dak. I don't know what happened, bro. I don't know what Jerry did, what Schottenheimer did, but they got the ghost out of Dak. They hired what do you call it, exorcist or something, bro. They got the ghost. Dak isn't seeing ghosts no more, bro. And, we shouldn't be hyping up the Cowboys just because they tied 40-40 to the Packers, but they did have a great game. So, my overall takeaway is the Packers underperformed. We all saw it from losing to the Browns 13-10, tying on Sunday Night Football 40-40 against the Cowboys in one of the most anticipated matchups of the year. How boring is that? But the Cowboys obviously scored big, and yeah, tie was horrible. So going to my second headline, give me Jackson Dart, dude. I love this dude. I have a Jackson Dart jersey in my cart. About to buy it. Jackson Dart, okay? There's actually two things I'm covering here, okay? One, say his name for the 5th time, Jackson Dart, okay? Learn that name. You're going to know that name come January. Trust me. He was able to get them to their first win. First point, first credit, amazing credit to him. He got them their first win of the season. That's wonderful, okay? That's what you want out of a young guy. His first game ever, 13 of 20, passing, 111 yards, a touchdown, and a 96 flat passer rating. That's amazing for a first start in week 4 playing the Chargers, who everyone had, if you know, BTAing the New York Football Giants. He came in there, won 21-18? That's great. And Russell Wilson is out of a job. Russell Wilson's done. Retire, bro. You're done. Put Jameis Winston above him. Nobody's going to come close to starting against Jackson Dart. I already know it. And I think if they would have played Jackson Dart against the Chiefs in week 3, I think they win. Give me the Giants. You come up to me last week, 2 weeks ago, saying, hey, the Giants are starting Jackson Dart. He's playing the Chiefs on Sunday night at home. Who do you got? Giants. Give me the Giants. I want him. I trust Jackson Dart. I would take Jackson Dart over half the starting QBs in the league right now. And another thing I would like to point out is that his first touchdown was a QB draw at home against the Chargers. Now, Joe Burrow, his first touchdown came on a QB draw at home against the Chargers. Now, the one unfamiliar thing is that Burrow did not come out with the dub while Jackson Dart did. But aside from that, that's pretty cool. As the season goes on and goes on and goes on, people are going to start to know. People are going to start to realize Jackson Dart is the real deal. He is the centerpiece of the New York Giants, and he is going to take them to the promised land. Mark my words, I'm not lying. And then the second part of this is obviously Malik Nabers. Okay, prayers up to him. God bless him. But Malik Nabers, who is the top 5 receiver. He's a top 5 receiver easily in the league. He tore his ACL. For those who do not know, he tore his ACL going up for a catch, landed on that right foot. The right foot buckled, and yeah, he fell down on the ground. He got carted out. He is done for the season. And I think this puts even more weight on Dart, but that's what it's about. It's going to take a lot of strength for Jackson Dart to continue on and be able to perform at such a high level without his receiver. Going to the next one, Lamar Jackson. Okay, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. They said it's only going to be about 2 to 3 weeks, but in an AFC North like that, those 2 to 3 weeks are going to be pivotal. So, Lamar Jackson sustained a hamstring injury during the third quarter of the Ravens' 17-point loss to the Chiefs. Like I said, is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks. And yeah, their backup is Cooper Rush, okay? He has a lot of experience. He obviously started for the Dallas Cowboys, backed up for the Dallas Cowboys. He's played in situations. He's been in a lot of spots. He knows his stuff. But Cooper Rush is not Lamar Jackson by any means. And this is going to require a shift from Harbaugh, and is going to require a shift from the entire Baltimore offense. Now, this does put more weight, of course, on Derrick Henry. He is selling my fantasy team so bad. So, hopefully you can just lock him. Derrick Henry, Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews. Okay, these guys will face increased pressure while Lamar is gone. Now, Baltimore has had some defensive struggles this year. So far, their injuries include Pro Bowl defensive tackle Nadame Matabuke. He is out for the season. And Marlon Humphrey facing time with a calf injury. We still don't know how much. But the upcoming games will face the Texans, the Rams, and the Bears. Now, all 3 teams are very good. The Bears should be a little bit of an easier one, but this still is a challenge. And obviously, like I mentioned, in an AFC North like that, you have the Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens. The Ravens in dead last. That is very surprising. What these next 3-4 games is, depending on how long Lamar is out, we don't know. It's going to be very, very different. To my other headline, give me Tyreek Hill. Okay, prayers up to him along with Malik. For those who did not know, Tyreek Hill suffered a serious left knee injury versus the Jets, including a dislocation and a torn ACL. He had surgery on Tuesday, and there is no reported nerve damage. Hill's injury ends his 2025 season, removing Miami's top deep threat and primary target. This is going to be really big for Tua Tagovailoa, and the Dolphins. Now, obviously, he has Jalen Waddle. He has Devon Achane. He has, Darren Waller. He's Darren Waller, who nobody has heard of for quite a while. Kind of didn't even realize he was on the roster until he just cooked up against the Jets the other day. But these guys will all take larger roles, especially in the passing game. Now, because we have seen the heated difficulty between Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, it will be interesting to see how this all shapes out. Do they put him on the trade block? Do they listen to trades? Do they trade him in the offseason? Obviously, the Dolphins, they're not a playoff contender in my eyes. They aren't looking good. What are they? 1-3? 2-2? I think they're 1-3. But it's not good for the Dolphins, okay? So obviously, we never want to see any guys get hurt. But Tyreek Hill does not want to be a Miami Dolphin in the first place. He regretted it, I can tell, as soon as he got there. They're not looking good any means, shape, or form. To my last one, for those who did not know, today, the Browns announced that they will be benching Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel will be getting the start. This is going to be really, really weird to see because a lot of people wanted Shador and they didn't get Shador. And the Browns are kind of stupid because I don't know why you would start Dillon Gabriel, but I'm not the Browns, okay? Probably have more logic than the Browns, but still. So, the Browns are going to bench Joe Flacco. Flacco has 6 interceptions, 8 total turnovers, and a 27 QBR through just 4 games, okay? That's horrible. That's not what we want. The Browns offense also ranks second lowest in the NFL, averaging just a mere 14 points a game. That's not what you want in any means, shape, or form. And Joe Flacco was supposed to help them. He led them to the playoffs in 2023. He was looking good. And then they shipped him off to Indianapolis. He did okay. And then he came back in the offseason. He hasn't looked good. And I think that's why they're benching him. It's for the better, 100%. But it's better that they're doing it now than later, because you don't want to be down in like week 9, week 10, right around the bye, and your team's sitting at like 2-8, 2-7, and you're not looking good, and you're like, well, what if we would have done this in week 4 or week 5, which is what they're doing. So it's probably one of the most calculated moves in Browns history for the past 25 years. Now, I like the benching Flacco part. I don't really agree with the Gabriel part. I'm not too high on Dylan Gabriel. I don't really like his stuff too much at Oregon. He was whatever. He did lead them to a Big Ten championship, but it's really whatever. Those aren't really like here's your flowers and that's about it. And a fun fact for you guys, Cleveland Browns fans, look away. Dylan Gabriel becomes the 41st Browns starting QB since 1999, the most in the NFL. The rookie was drafted 94th overall and holds the FBS record with touchdowns and starts. Now, that's a positive thing there. I'm still taking Shador, okay? The Browns shipped off Kenny Pickett to the Raiders a little while back with Desmond Ridder going to Cincinnati. He's now a Viking? It's a pretty crazy train. But Stefanski, their head coach, was talking about some Dylan Gabriel has been preparing with starter reps and is ready to lead. I don't know about that one, bro. Really don't know about that one. You're the Browns? Remember that. You're the Browns, okay? I'm not praying on his downfall or nothing. I'm hoping he does well. Hopefully he proves me wrong. But it's just my take, my opinion, what I think. And that's what I started this podcast for, to show y'all my opinion, to take y'all my takes. And this is what it is. People are going to disagree, and that's whatever. So, bottom line, I agree with the Flacco part. Flacco has not been what they wanted him to be, and that's why you bench him. I would keep him on the bench until he shows to Stefanski and to the rest of the Browns organization that he can still play at a high level, even though he's about like 50. I still think that it's the right move. But Gabriel is not. I don't believe in my eyes that Dylan Gabriel is the right move. I would choose Shador Sanders. I'm taking Shador any day of the week over Dylan Gabriel. I know you drafted Gabriel over Shador, but it's still the better talent in my eyes. So to the other scores, we have the Thursday night game. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 23-20. Seahawks were able to edge out the Cardinals when Jason Myers delivered a 52-yard field goal as time expired. Seattle survived the late Arizona rally with Sam Darnold and JSN engineering the drive deep into field goal range to seal the dub. To the Lions and the Browns. The Lions get the dub 34-10 over Cleveland. Jared Goff threw 2 tutties to Amon-Ra, and the Lions converted turnovers into points to beat the Browns by 24. Joe Flacco struggled with 3 turnovers, and rookie Dylan Gabriel replaced him late in the game. Detroit's defense, led by Aiden Hutchinson, helped secure the win with a sack and a forced fumble. To the Dublin game, the Ireland game, the Steelers get the dub 24-21 over the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers threw for 200 yards and a touchdown to DK Metcalf, helping the Steelers edge out the Vikings 24-21 in their first regular season game in Ireland. Kenneth Gainwell ran for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Pittsburgh's defense forced multiple turnovers, including interceptions by TJ Watt and Deshaun Elliott. The Vikings mounted a late comeback but fell short despite big gains from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. To Atlanta, the Falcons get the dub over the Commanders 34-27. Michael Penix Jr. III threw for a career-high 313 yards with 2 touchdowns, leading the Falcons to a touchdown win over the Washington Commanders. Bijan added 181 yards from scrimmage, including a 69-yard catch and run, and Drake London had 110 receiving yards and a touchdown. Penix converted key third downs late in the game, helping Atlanta control the clock and secure the dub. The Bills beat the Saints at home 31-19. Josh Allen led the Bills to a win over the winless Saints, throwing 2 touchdowns and rushing for another, including a key 27-yard gain on a clutch fourth-quarter play. James Cook rushed for 117 yards and a touchdown, while Khalil Shakir added a 43-yard score, and Buffalo's defense limited New Orleans despite multiple drives into Bills territory. To New England, the Patriots beat the Panthers 42-13. Marcus Jones had a record-setting 167 punt return yards, including a touchdown, and Drake May threw for 2 tutties and ran for another, leading New England to a 42-13 win over the Panthers. Carolina struggled with turnovers, missed kicks, and injuries to key players, including wide receiver David Moore, and were limited to 150 yards in the loss. To the Giants, they get the dub over the Chargers 21-18. Jackson Dart led the Giants to their first win of the season, throwing a touchdown to Theo Johnson and running for another in a 21-18 victory over the Chargers. Wide receiver Malik Nabers would card it off with a knee injury, potentially impacting the Giants' offense going forward. The Giants' defense made key plays late, including a sack and an interception, while Chargers' Justin Herbert threw 2 interceptions and couldn't complete a late comeback. To Tampa Bay, the Eagles get the win 31-25 over the Bucs. Philly used creative plays, including a fake tush-push and special team scores, to beat Tampa 31-25 and remained undefeated at 4-0. Jalen Hurts threw 2 touchdown passes and connected with Saquon Barkley on a key fake push for a touchdown. While the Eagles' defense made critical stops, Tampa Bay's Baker Mayfield had 2 long touchdown passes but threw a key pick and couldn't convert on late 4th down attempts. To the Texans game, they get the dub 26-0 over the Titans. Houston's defense earned its first shutout in nearly 15 years, and the offense led by C.J. Stroud and rookie Woody Marks scored 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns to beat Tennessee 21-0. The Titans fall to 0-4, extending their losing streak to 10 games, while rookie Cam Ward struggled, throwing for 108 yards and 1 interception. To LA, the Rams win at 27-20 over the Colts. The Rams rallied late, scoring 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes and 20 seconds, including on an 88-yard game-winning catch by Tutu Atwell from Matthew Stafford to defeat the Colts 27-20. Indianapolis, Adonai Mitchell fumbled just before scoring on a potential 76-yard touchdown, a critical error that contributed to the Colts' first loss of the season. The Jags defeated the 49ers 26-21, fueled by 4 defensive takeaways and Parker Washington's 87-yard punt return touchdown, their first in 8 seasons. Trevor Lawrence threw for 174 yards and a touchdown, while Mac Jones struggled with 3 turnovers, including a crucial strip sack by Eric Armstead late in the game that sealed their win for Jacksonville. Going to Baltimore, the Chiefs win at 37-20 over the Ravens. The Chiefs beat the Ravens 37-20 with Patrick Mahomes throwing 4 touchdown passes and the offense scoring on its first 4 drives. Lamar Jackson left with a hamstring injury, and the Ravens were further weakened by missing 7 defensive starters. Going to the Bears. The Bears get the dub 25-24 over the Raiders. The Bears narrowly defeated the Raiders 25-24 after Josh Blackwell blocked a potential game-winning 54-yard field goal. Caleb Williams led a clutch late drive capped by DeAndre Swift's touchdown, overcoming a Raiders team that featured a breakout performance by rookie Austin Gentry. To the game I mentioned, the overtime game, the Packers and the Cowboys tie 40-40. The Packers and Cowboys tied 40-40 in a high-scoring overtime game with 7 consecutive lead-changing touchdowns in regulation. Key plays included Micah Parsons' overtime sack and Brandon McManus' tying field goal. To the Monday night game, the Dolphins at home win at 27-21 over the Jets. Tua Tagovailoa led through 2 touchdown passes to Darren Waller, and Devon Achane added a rushing touchdown, helping Miami to improve to 1-3. Tyreek Hill suffered a season-ending ACL injury, while Jets' Justin Fields threw and ran for a touchdown, but costly mistakes, including 13 penalties and 3 lost fumbles, led New York to their 4th straight loss. And I wish I could skip over this game, but I feel like that would be not allowed. Broncos win it 28-3 over the Bengals. Bo Nix led a dominant Broncos offense, throwing for 326 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding a rushing score. Cincy's offense struggled, no duh, with Jake Browning managing just 125 passing yards and the team failing to score after an early field goal, making their 2nd consecutive blowout loss. At least we know now that the no-defense strategy with Jake Browning does not work. It is what it is, I guess. Well, that will do it. Thank you for tuning in to my Week 4 recap. If you have not checked out my 1, 2, or 3 recap, please go check those out. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and yeah, peace.